Georgia Bass Tech fans, welcome back to our Hooked Up Live. Appreciate each and every one of y'all joining us tonight. I'd like to take and kick off the show starting by announcing all of our sponsors for Hooked Up Lives, giving them the recognition, the appreciation that's very well deserved. Line Taming Serum, Just Catch Bass, Star Lures, Dugout Bait and Tackle, Tiny Boat Nation, G2 Gemini Jerseys, PFD Fishing. We appreciate each and every one of you supporting our businesses, local businesses, and really excited for the upcoming season. Here we are in January. Everybody get out there, check out all these companies, the great products that they have for the outdoors. Really awesome. So I also want to take and mention again, do not forget our Nights of Lights banquet, which is 100% of our proceeds. It'll be 2 weeks from Saturday night. It'll be in Atlanta. It's on our website, the details for the Nights of Lights, and 100% of our proceeds is going to the Shriners organization. So Shriners Hospital does a lot of help for families that stand in need. So every bit of the money that goes into the Nights of Lights for the meal tickets that are on sale now, you need to take and jump on and get it done. We will be taking and closing out the meal tickets very soon. The Shriners have to take and make sure they have all the food ordered in time. So make sure, if you haven't, visit GeorgiaBassTech.com, GABASSTEC.com. Get over there and check it out. It has the steps to go through Venmo to pay for your meal tickets. You don't necessarily have to come and purchase a meal to attend it. It's free. There's no cost to come to the Nights of Lights next Saturday night. And we also have the band, the group Waleska, that is actually going to be performing live down there. So make sure, come be with us. They are a kind of old school Southern rock band. Actually, one of our anglers that's centered right there in the middle, Caleb Gayton, he is actually one angler out of our TC group. So we really are looking forward to having them at the Nights of Lights performing. So no further ado, I owe some apologies to some men that we're going to be bringing on here live. So Mr. Souza, as well as Mr. TJ Spivey. I know I made a mistake last night. I greatly apologize. It's not Spiva, it's Spivey. So appreciate y'all. Congrats on points champion. I know, correct me if I'm right, TJ, you had actually was points champion with Johnithan Combee, right?
Yeah, he's just all over the place. He's qualified 3 times, I think.
Right. I forgot. Let me add. We got Ryan as well from Tiny Boat Nation Southeast.
How's it going, guys?
How you doing?
Good here. You?
Sorry, Ryan. I seen you in the queue there, and I was doing introduction. Forgot. I apologize.
You're good, man. You're good.
So again, congrats, man, on points champion. I know, Mr. Souza, you probably
I'm just riding his tailcoats.
Do what?
I said I'm just riding his tailcoats. All I'm doing.
You had fished for the year through with Backwoods, or you had subbed with them?
No, I fished the whole year. I fished solo this year. I was supposed to be fishing with TJ Lee, and just an oversight. We waited too long to get in his monies, and so I fished the whole year by myself. So,
got you. So I kind of want to start off right off the rip, bringing something up. When you talk about you fish solo, so I've heard something from somebody that talked about, you know exactly how to lay a whooping on people solo. Is that right?
I win a few, but I get beat more than I win. So
this picture supposedly, I think, is what was floating around, that you were the forearm bandit.
Yeah, that's TJ hiding behind me, holding those fish. That was a classic with Five Alive a few years back, and it just happened to be my day. The Lord blessed me, and it was a good day.
What was the weight you had that day?
It was 19 something.
It was right at 20.
all by yourself.
I come around the corner. I didn't have any. I had one fish, I think. I come around the corner, and he was holding them up on the beam, putting one in here, throw this back, putting in. 2 seconds later, he had another one on the beam. I'm like, just get away from him.
I mean, I'm sorry to point it out, but that smile has so much into it right there. I mean, that's like possum eating briars. It really is. So let's hear about, because with Combee's going to be fishing with his better half. So both of y'all having boats. Let's kind of dive in talking about y'all's boats and boat setups. TJ, if you'd like to go first, talk about your boat setup.
I just got a 17. I think it's a 1760, so 60-inch wide low, like an 80-something low, with 65, 75. I don't even know what the trolling motor is on the back. And then on the front, I got a 80-pound Ultrex or 112-pound Ultrex and a 360, or not 360, SI. That's what I have. That's the graph I have. Just got the better boat.
Correct me if I'm right. Was you the angler second year we fished hard labor? You and your wife was fishing it, wasn't it?
That was a ex-girlfriend of mine. Yeah, Crystal.
That's what I remember.
It was really foggy that morning.
Yes, that was your boat. That's what I was trying to remember was your boat on it. So, awesome. Were you running all lead acid batteries?
No, I got the one that we Johnithan and I won at the TEC for 3rd place that we're running on the back now. So that took out 4 of those big yellow 24-volt lead acid. So I changed out 15, 20 pounds for 100 and something pounds.
So let's hear about your input on that battery. What's your take on it?
Well, they only had one time where I ran it dead, and that was at hard labor with Gene, another guy that fishes the club with us. I have no idea what happened. I think maybe the surge protector cut up. Something happened, because since then it's never come close. It's a good battery.
You got a standard charger you charge with it, lithium charger you bought?
Yes, sir. It's the lithium charger. I think I got it from Academy, or no, I ordered it on Amazon.
So what about your charge times? Pretty quick?
Oh yeah, like next day. I mean, on the weekends, from Saturday night to Sunday morning, I'm back out there. Less than 12 hours is fine.
That's awesome. So, Mr. Souza, let's hear about your boat setup.
I'm running it's a Triton. I think it's a Sport 190. So it's a 18.5-foot aluminum Triton boat, and I just left the steering wheel in it, and I've had an Elco since like 2015. Hooked it up, running lithium batteries on the back. I've got 4 48 volts running the Elco, and then I've got 4 Relions running all my electronics and trolling motors and such. So it's set up pretty nice. I had trouble with batteries for a long time. Finally went to lithium, tried a few different ones, and Travis Simmons hooked me up with big batteries. I think is the brand name, and they seem to be working fine. I can run all day, don't have to worry about letting off the gas, and charges up so I can go fishing the next day. I'm ready to roll.
So, did I hear it correctly? You said you have 4 48 volts?
They're 4 48 volts. They're
Parallel.
I'm not sure. Yeah, they're all parallel. So I'm not sure what the amperage is, but to get the amperage up to what I needed for the Elco, because my Elco, like I said, is 2015, so it's a 9.9 HP. I bought it right before they changed over to the 20 EP, and I think it has a little higher amp draw than that 20 EP does now.
Wow. So you don't know the amperage on those batteries?
I'm not sure what they are. I think the Elco pulls like 192 or something like that. So the 4 puts me well above it. So because I was running one of those Roy Pals, I tried one of those and I couldn't even get up about 3/4 speed, and it would start jumping, and then it would finally, about 20 seconds later, shut down. The battery would shut off. So that didn't get it. So switched up to the big battery brand and haven't had any trouble since.
So let's hear about your front. What about graphs and stuff? What you got running on?
Trolling motor wise, I've got a Ghost on the front. Love it. I'm running a TI-212 Lowrance on the console, and then I've got a TI-2 a 9 on the front, and then I've got a Garmin like an Echo Mat Plus 10 or whatever. So it's a good size Garmin for the live scope.
Gotcha. Somebody was telling me the TI-2s, some of those have capabilities of running forward facing sonar. Have you heard that?
I have not. That's why I ended up buying the Garmin, because I had just bought that the TI-2, the 12, and right after that, Lowrance came out with their version. But it was, you had to buy either, and I don't even keep up with Lowrance anymore as to what all they're offering, but the TI-2 didn't qualify, so I said, let's just go Garmin and give it a shot. Because before that, the Ghost being that it's Lowrance, everything was tied into the Lowrances and such.
So the Elite models is what I can't remember which one it is. It's like the Elite TS or something like that. So I think there is some TI-2s. It just depends on which one. And I don't know if you remember seeing it. I don't know if you follow it on Facebook group and stuff. I seen it during Christmas. Did you see the pricing on the TIs on Walmart, what they was selling for?
I didn't catch the prices. I did see that they were practically giving them away, really.
$500 for 12-inch TI-2s during Christmas.
Goodness.
Wow. They could
trying to move them so they can sell new product.
They're obsolete like mine. I got a second generation with side imaging for the Humminbird, so I can't use their live. I can use 360, but I can't do the live. It's 1 year too old.
So we got a new guest that's come on here as well. So let's welcome Mr. Chris himself.
How you doing?
Hey, boys.
How's it going?
Chris, introduce. This is Mr. Jeff Souza and Mr. TJ Spiva from
Nice to meet
Backwoods
you.
Bass.
Good to meet you.
Where are y'all from?
Georgia.
Oh, duh.
Oh, can't tell.
I'm out in Pike County, Williamson area.
Okay. And which club are y'all with?
Backwoods.
Okay.
I'm just like 30 minutes north of Jeff and Noonan.
Okay.
So let's talk about going forward into Lake Blue Ridge. Have either of you have y'all been up there? Have y'all had past knowledge fishing the lake or anything like that?
Well, I've been one time, probably 20-something years ago, back before I even started fishing tournaments and such. So it's been a long time.
Now,
Have not
I went
to pre-fish.
up there mid-October, I think, and rode around the lower end of the lake for about 8 hours. And it's a beautiful place. I don't know if I envy people with Panoptics or not, because I was telling my girlfriend now, I would hate to be looking at the screen all day when I could enjoy all the mountains and all the scenery.
That is definitely true. Definitely true. So, Jeff, you'd mentioned saying you've been there years ago. Did you happen to catch smallmouth the time you went?
I caught one smallmouth that I think was just barely 12 inches. So I can say in my life I have caught a smallmouth, but that was it.
Yeah.
I think I caught it over near the ramp right before I was getting ready to leave. So,
TJ,
you said you went in the fall. Did you happen to catch one when you went?
No, sir. No smallmouth. There I had two largemouth, but they were both under 14 and some decent spots. Spots are just crazy up there, though.
Very crazy.
I was reeling the fluke across the top of the water as fast as I could reel it to get them to bite. They didn't want it jerking it. They wanted that thing moving.
Yep. It's the thing with bluebacks. They want that fast movement.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But, I mean, who's to say? Someone may go up there in February and catch them on flukes and doing the same, but who knows? Time will tell, right?
Depends on the weather. There's too many factors for us to know now.
Yep. Chris, Ryan, I'm gonna kind of turn the mic. Go ahead. Sorry.
70-degree weather now, and it'll probably be in the 20s by the time we go fishing. So.
Yeah, and if that's the case, that ramp is going to be a nightmare.
You know, that has been discussed quite a good bit from us internally as directors. The concern with we have some potential backup dates if we get into that circumstances that, you know, severe cold and issues concerning it and stuff like that. But I think we've got enough good game plans to you know, keep that at bay if it comes down to that for coming.
I got one of those torches you hook to the propane tank. You get a few of them, and just every time somebody pulls out, they.
That's what I was going to I was actually asking around to a couple of folks, and I haven't found anybody that had one of those torches yet. And I was like, that would
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight, yep.
It's the cheapest place you'll get one.
Didn't even think about that. So that would be a prime thing that we could utilize. But, you know, and I do know this, and y'all probably seen it, and y'all can probably reiterate this to everybody else as well. Would y'all agree that that's probably the steepest ramp at the marina that you've ever put in on?
It's really close with the one on the 48 bridge in Wadawi. I've seen 3 boats hit that ramp. That one's pretty steep, but Blue Ridge is probably steeper, and it's longer than the one at the 48 bridge.
So the benefit, and I have not done it, and I'm gonna, while Chris and Ryan maybe have some questions to ask you, I'm gonna go through on Blue Ridge's apps and stuff like that. I'm gonna see if I can see the elevations and see if it's come up any from the floods and stuff. So, Chris, Ryan, if y'all got any questions, fire away.
Yeah, I got questions, but I was just thinking, Ryan, we need to put up a GoPro on the boat ramp. If this thing's long and steep, I want to watch all of the backups and sideways and back up and sideways.
It's going to be hard if it's dark. It's going to be tough.
Might have to be on flashlights instead of cameras.
Yeah. So one thing I was curious about, I don't know if y'all watched any other lives or not, but I don't know a whole lot about fishing. If we do get one of our random late winter warm spurts where it's, 70 degrees outside when the tournament comes around, how's that going to change the fishing for y'all?
TJ?
It'll probably have me and him fussing with each other because I love fishing shallow, but if it's cold, then I'm good. I can go with him and we'll go deep. But if there's a warmer trend, I'll be wanting to go shallow. I don't know. Jeff, every time I see Jeff, he's offshore catching fish that I can't catch.
It depends too. You're talking about if it's a warm front, it depends on how cold it's been right before the warm front and how long that warm front is sustained before we hit the water too. Because
and if it rains or not,
the very day of the tournament, it's not going to do too much to the fish, I wouldn't think. They're not going to push super shallow in a 24-hour period, I wouldn't think. But if it's a several-day warm-up, then we'll have to start looking at the shallow for sure.
Okay. Do y'all think that because that lake's so deep and naturally colder, that it would take a lot longer for the heat to warm that water up and make the fish do anything different?
I would agree with that. From what I've read and just seen in pictures, it has a lot of rock though, or some rock. And the rock is going to have a tendency, in that it's clear water, the rock would warm. I don't know how much warmer that water would get around the rocks, but a degree or two can make a big difference.
And if you get some rain too, with it being drawn down like that, all the water is going to be muddy that runs in from the red clay. So that'll help it warm up a lot too. That'll bring them shallow quicker too. We've seen that this past Sunday. We've seen fish in 6 inches of water.
Yeah.
The lake has actually come up 3 feet just since this rain. Past couple of
How
days.
low was it? Was it down about 11 feet? Is that what it was?
No, it was more like 20.
20.
It's bad.
Yeah, it was like 20 feet low from full pool elevation. So it's sitting at about 17 right now, 17 feet low, roughly around that range somewhere. Pause just for a moment for a question that did come in. I missed a minute ago trying to pause in between. Average Joe's got a question. Can you please make a simple video on how to wire a trolling motor or point me in the right direction? Ryan, Chris, do you already have one out there somewhere?
Pretty sure.
We could do one real quick. I mean, that wouldn't be a problem.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. Positive to positive, negative to negative. If you want to put a disconnect in between, you know, those little trolling motor plugs, the same thing. You're in positive from trolling motor to the positive side of one of the plugs, and negative from the trolling motor to the negative of one side of the plug, and then same thing on the other side all the way back to the battery. And the only thing we add in between is a circuit breaker.
60 amp.
Usually we go 60 amp. It covers most everything. If you got a real big trolling motor like a Garmin Force or a what's that, the Lowrance Ghost, you might want to go up to a 70. Really just depends on how many amps you're pulling and what voltage you're running at. But yeah, I guess we could do a video, but it's a fairly simple, straightforward process.
Yes, I agree. And he's got one more question with it. What types of trolling motors do y'all recommend? And same for y'all, Jeff, TJ. Recommend for John boats, types, brands, lengths. I know, obviously, we want to recommend the e-propulsion trolling motor style for your transoms.
I'm going to ask how deep your pockets are first.
Well, for the cost for the Spirit, correct me if I'm right with this, Chris, Ryan, I mean, you're looking at a better return of investment if you're wanting just like a smaller trolling motor, say a Walmart special 50-pound trolling motor. Yeah, you can do that. You can buy batteries after batteries, but going with a Spirit, I mean, Ryan, y'all go ahead and talk about the Spirit models if you want.
Well, as far as bang for your buck goes, it's really, really hard to beat a Spirit 1.0 plus and then getting you a cheaper trolling motor, whether it be a clamp-on style for the front that's a hand tiller control or a foot control. Most of the guys that run these real big trolling motors, like I said, the Garmin Force and the Lowrance Ghost and some of these that are, 60, 70 pound thrusts, you really don't need it on most of these boats and most of the places that you fish in Georgia. Only if you're like these guys that are tournament fishing where they depend on that motor to get them through some really, really nasty situations is when I could see that being helpful. But for the most part, you can really get away with something in that less than $1,000 range. And the only thing I would upgrade or even consider spending more money on is if you really want spot lock, you're going to have to pay for it, or you're going to have to buy a cheaper trolling motor and put pro nav on it, which almost winds up being the same price anyways. And then all your little creature comforts, like remotes and, apps for your phone that'll control them and stuff like that. I know, Ryan, you're a little bit more into the bass fishing stuff. You might be able to give a better recommendation than me, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, for a bow mount trolling motor, I think generally speaking, I'd be looking around at something in the Minn Kota that Minn Kota makes. I think where it starts making a little bit more of a difference in the brands is when you step up to those higher end ones like the Garmin or the Lowrance or the iPilot for the. I'm sorry, I'm blanking right now on the Minn Kota one, but like you can get anything that I would try to get price wise at a good price. I'd be looking at Minn Kota brand wise.
And TJ, Jeff, y'all probably also would agree to this statement. If this gentleman's planning on doing like tournament fishing, or if not tournament fishing, he's going to be a serious stay on the lake, windy days, stuff like that. Y'all would definitely, for a bow mount, I wouldn't go with anything less than a 24 volt. 36 volts is going to definitely withstand for a duration of the day if that's your primary propulsion is your front bow motor. But if you do go with like an electric outboard on the back, you could probably keep that 24 to even a 12 volt.
Yeah, 12 volt probably work if you had a electric outboard on the back, but 24 volts never let me down, and I upgraded to a 36 volt, and I think I went overkill, but it's there if I need it.
Yeah, and he doesn't mention what kind of boat. I mean, he says John boat. Is it a decked out John boat? Is he fishing just for pleasure, or like you say, getting into tournament fishing? I ran for years. I ran 3, I think 54 thrust motor guides on the back of my boat, and a trolling motor up front. You'd have them all going at the same time, and you might get 4.5 knots or whatever out of it, but you could cover it all day long.
I did that last year.
Yeah. I mean, it just depends on how serious you are about getting into it, and how much money you want to spend and how technical you want to get.
But you don't have to spend a lot of money or get technical to win or enjoy it. I mean, if you want to look at Johnithan Combee's boat, and he qualified for 3 TECs fishing out of it.
That's
it's
right.
Simple, and just go catch fish. That's what you say.
Yeah. How many pounds of thrust does a Spirit 1.0 put out? They don't go based on thrust. They go based on kilowatts. And the Spirit is 1,000 kilowatt hours, what it puts out. I know Ryan just took a 1436 that was completely decked out with 2 guys in it, and y'all ran pretty much all day long at 5 miles an hour at hard labor?
About 5.5, tapping 6 here and there. So
if I had to guess, at 5 miles per hour, 2 men loaded with fishing gear and stuff, you're probably in the 80 to 100 pound thrust, I would guess. Would you probably agree to that, Ryan?
Yeah.
Maybe
it's
a little
bit. Probably like 120
No.
maybe.
Like
I was running 380s and I could barely get over 5. And I got that half swing from Johnithan last year, and I can get 5.5. I think it's like 100. I want to say it's 120 or something.
Well, there's a good comparison for you. So you were running 3. What kind of trolling motors were they?
3 Minn Kota 80s, Traxxas 80s.
So how much were those a piece if you were to buy them brand new?
I think they're probably $700-800. I bought it all as a package deal.
Okay, well, let's just say for sake of this conversation, they were $700 on sale. So that puts you at 17, 14. Was it 21?
Yep.
Yeah, 21, 2,400. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you got to have.
And then how many batteries did you buy to run those 3 trolling motors?
You got to have 6, or you need 6. You need 24 volts for each one.
All right. So if you run 600, well, they used to be. I used to call them $100 special Walmart ever starts, but now they're $130, $140. So let's just say you got a coupon from Walmart. You buy 6 of those at $100 a piece. That's 600 plus the 2,100 you're already in for the trolling motors. That is, I'm terrible at math. So I went to government
say
school.
$3,000. You're already around $3,000.
$3,000 for $25.99 out the door. You can get a brand new Spirit 1.0
and
plus
a year
with
and
battery
a half,
pack.
You're gonna have to spend another $600 on those batteries.
Yep.
They won't last. I've been there, done that.
And then if you want to go lithium, you can double that price.
How much did you say, Chris, on that?
$25.99 for a Spirit 1.0 plus.
With a lithium battery that typically lifespan for the lithiums on it, cycles, do you know that at all?
I can't remember the one off the top of my head.
It's
longer than most of us will ever use it.
Yeah. If you
I know it was in the like 3,000-4,000 life cycles, like complete charge cycles.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is they measure those from 0 to 100 charge cycles. That doesn't mean if you go out, like fish one afternoon and you only run it down to 80% and then you come back and charge it up, you only use a small portion of that one life cycle on that battery. But even then, I don't foresee most people in reality, and this is just me being a realistic reality type person. In reality, something new or cool will come out within the next 5 to 10 years before that lithium battery ever wears out. And you're going to want that, and you're going to save up for it and go buy it and get rid of the older Spirit and get the new cool one.
Yep. That's true. Fire away. Next question, if y'all got it.
Ryan, you got anything?
No, I'm just I was almost a skeptic about the Spirit at first until we put it on that little Weekend Warrior boat and actually used it. And I was very impressed with it. Very impressed. Simplifies your whole thing, especially with these guys in these tournaments that were running, 2 or 3 trolling motors on the back. Like, the Spirit is a lot better than I anticipated it to be.
You can't beat it. It's best bang for the buck. Did I miss the part where y'all talked about your boat setup and all that stuff? Or have you already done that?
They did.
We did.
They did. They went through their boats.
Dang it, that's my favorite part. Is there another question?
Yeah, well, he brought it up. He made another comment on here saying, "Can we see the messages?" Something about he was worried that it was getting deleted or something. So, old tricks or anything Minn Kota is kind of his question with it.
For the front.
Yeah, I mean,
That's personal preference, though.
I mean, Jeff, just like you said, it depends also on what you're running. Like Jeff's running used to with all the Lowrance products, and I'm the same way. I went with a Lowrance Ghost, 36 volt, and it can be converted between 36 volt or 24 by just a push of a button and hooking up your batteries in different ways. So it's all preferences to what you want to fit your boat for, honestly.
I tell you one that we've heard a lot of feedback on, if you're budget minded, is the Amazon Halsing motor. The one that's, I want to say it's what, $500-600. Halswing, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's what's on the
The
back of mine.
only thing that I do not like about it is the foot pedal on it is about as big as 7 encyclopedias. It's massive. But they do, if you got a remote that goes with it, most people don't even use the foot pedal. But we've had 3 or 4 customers that have come in with boats that we built, and that's the trolling motor that they ran, and I've yet to hear anything bad about them.
Yep.
Other than they're, cheap Amazon made in China.
The only thing negative I heard about the Haas Wings, and I'm sure Jeff, TJ, y'all can attest to this, the guys that do run them, when they do go down, have a problem with them, there's nobody to work on them, and you cannot get any parts. And I know that's one of the strongest benefits with y'all with Tiny Boat Nation, being able to take and go through and service, work on e-propulsion products as well right here locally.
That's the risk you take when you buy something named Haswing or whatever, made in China. That's
Matt's got one more question, and you guys thoroughly enjoying all the questions. Y'all keep firing them away. Matt's got a question asking about the opinion. Can you effectively fish from the back of a boat using a Spirit 1.0?
Is it running wide open or not?
Ryan, you said you went for the full duration of the day just with that one?
Yeah, on the back. Now, I don't know, there's a couple ways you can interpret it. I guess, like, when I read this question, I think of, like, you don't have a trolling motor up in the front, so you're constantly using that rear motor. And, yeah, you can do it. You can do it effectively. I mean, Anthony Jones doesn't have a trolling motor on the front of his, and he runs
a Spirit. Yeah.
Spirit and the I think
he runs he's got an older Navy too, doesn't he?
He's got the older Navy 3.0 as well. So no trolling motor in the front, and we fish out of his boat all the time. We did tournaments out of it, so it's definitely possible.
Yep. Awesome. Fire away again, man.
So that's just a funny hypothetical question, but say you show up to a tournament and they decide that you're only allowed to fish with one lure for the entire day. What you gonna pick?
What time of year?
Don't matter. Just pick one.
What's your favorite time of year for lures to throw? How about that?
Yeah.
What was the question?
You only get to fish with one lure. What you picking?
Right. But what did you say, Merrick?
With your favorite time of year.
Okay.
Yep.
I would probably say a chatterbait. I mean, if I'm limited to one and I don't know, what the what the condition is, because I'm not a one bait kind of guy. But yeah, I would probably go chatterbait, because you can fish muddy, you can fish it in clear, fish it in structure, as far as grass and such, or you can just open water, whatever. So yeah, I'll probably say chatterbait.
Yeah, that's the same here. Most of our bigger fish this year came on the chatterbait. It didn't matter if the water was clear, stained, muddy. There's something about it that those bigger fish seem to like.
What about my curiosity? Y'all being from the southern region, y'all have obviously sounds like done some traveling in the past, fishing mountain lakes and depth. Does depth intimidate y'all fishing deeper lakes? Do y'all like shallower lakes? Is it something y'all gonna have to transition to for fishing up at Blue Ridge?
Jonathan and I didn't catch any fish probably deeper than 6 foot this whole year. That's the way I typically fish, but Jeff is like, he can do it all. I don't really like to get deeper than about 18 to 20 foot. I'm done after that, because then the fish need to be fizzed and all that stuff. I don't know nothing about it, so I stay away from it.
Yeah, I would say I don't necessarily have a problem with depth. It's adjusting to the lake itself. Like for the longest time, I would fish, say, 15 to 18 foot, and I thought that was deep. And then over the past few years, like on Lake Horton, I've learned to fish out there in 25 to 35 foot of water and gotten comfortable with that. Go out to Juliet, and you get into, I guess I get into the mindset of having a hard time breaking out of my norm and fishing deeper in Juliet than I'm used to. So I would say Blue Ridge, it'll take some adjusting. I'm gonna have to hit that lake before the tournament for sure and get comfortable with the depth.
So I do want to mention something real quick. Pete Cook he's having some problems, I guess, with messages not being seen or something. So maybe he's not able to take and see our screen or something. I don't understand. I made sure to answer his comment. I guess he was asking about the differences between Minn Kota or whatnot, Ultrex and stuff. So hopefully, Pete, you've got it where you read it and seen it there, bud. So going into this tournament, does fishing for spotted bass, y'all are accustomed to fishing for them, or y'all like fishing for spots more like towards like largemouth? What's y'all's take?
Go, TJ.
We fish Juliet, so spots are, you don't really go after spots there, but I'm not going to complain about a 2.5, 3.5 pound spot. They're more aggressive. They're more fun to me to catch, unless it's a big largemouth. I'd rather catch largemouth than smallmouth or spotted bass. I've never caught a smallmouth. That's on my bucket list. Hopefully, we'll do that at Blue Ridge in February.
Yeah, as far as spots, I have a lot more experience with largemouth than spots. I like catching spots. They're fun to catch, but if you go to West Point, it's usually 24 12-inch spots or whatever. I'd much rather catch a big spot, but I'd rather get into some largemouth and be done with it, as opposed to catching 2-pound spots. Now, I don't know what Blue Ridge has. I've seen a couple of pictures or whatever. So, if we can get in some good 3 to 4 pound spots, that would be.
They got them up there. I promise.
They're definitely swimming around in there. I wouldn't be surprised to seeing a 5-pound spot come in for weigh-in. It'll happen probably. Let's hear y'all's PB. What's y'all's PB spotted bass?
I don't think I've ever weighed one, but I would say maybe 3 pounds, 3.5.
The biggest I ever caught was a 4.2 on Lake Horton.
Oh, I didn't realize Horton had spotted bass in them.
Somebody snuck some in, and they started getting big.
I seen one. I think it was 6 pounds. That Ronnie Pendergrass caught it. I think it was 6 out of there, and Jeff Reeves had one, a largemouth that was a little over 8 in the same day.
Wow,
it was a huge spot though.
So let's hear. We ain't discussed this, and I know Chris, I think you usually ask this question. So let's hear about y'all's origination into tournament fishing, John boat style. When was y'all's first time ever getting involved in it? Jeff, you want to go first?
first tournament I ever fished was on Lake Horton. Seems like the club was Southern John Boat, I think it was. And I can't even remember the guy's name that ran that club. But I fished with him one day. Thought we were fishing the tournament, and then come to find out we were just fishing for fun while everybody else was fishing the tournament. So that kind of rubbed me raw. But yeah, that was my first tournament.
They didn't let you in?
Well, what was his name? Rick Burns was the gentleman's name. And he told me he was handling the entry fee or whatever, and we were just going to go fishing. And he didn't seem to be too interested in fishing. He was talking more than fishing, and turned out we didn't bother to weigh in any fish. So it was an odd tournament.
That would be kind of odd.
Yeah.
It didn't burn you away from it, though. You kept going, didn't you?
Yes, I did.
That's awesome. Let's hear about yours, Mr. Spivey.
The first tournament I ever fished was with a buddy of mine named Danny Anson. It was Jeff Reese's club. I'm going to say 8, 9 years ago or something. And we were at BT Brown, which is a lake that I know and I love. So we had 3 fish for 15 pounds. There was 3 fish limit. So we get up there to the weigh-in. We're thinking we're going to do okay. And then this guy named Derek that was fishing with Tim Horsley caught a 1588. And he pulled it out of the live well. And he's like, it's at least 10. And I looked at it. I was like, oh, yeah. That's like 10 and a half, 10 times 2. Thing was huge.
Wow.
So his one fish beat R3. We got second,
And that
nobody cared.
And that was in Jeff's club tournament?
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Dude, that would probably be an all-time record in John boat tournaments, I would say, 15 pound.
Yeah, I don't know of one bigger
one
than that.
15 pound.
I caught a 1378 in a 5 Alive tournament one time, and everybody quit. That was the biggest one that I knew of other than that one.
So we got to watch out for you to coming up there and catching.
No, this is at BT Brown. This is a whole different thing. You can't worry about that. They don't let us do tournaments there anymore. And Jeff beats me over there anyway. So,
dude, don't count out the big largemouths up there at Blue Ridge. I'm telling you, they are some monster largemouth in that lake.
Sounds like somebody.
We looked them up the other night. I think the lake record right now is a little over 11 pounds, but it was only a couple years ago. It wasn't that long ago.
Really?
And the record spot was, I think, 2011. So you're only talking, 11 years.
I don't want to take spotlight away from all this, but me and Michael Geiger went up to Blue Ridge
and whacked them
5, 6, 7 years ago or so. I can't remember how long ago it was. We went in the spring. It was about April. We was hoping to go up there and catch some fish on bed. And we started close to the ramp and went to the back of a pocket, and I was throwing a whopper plopper. It was right when the whopper plopper first come out. And I'm telling y'all, I wished I would have had a GoPro. I really do, because y'all have seen Jaws, like their Shark Week, how the great whites come up after the seals and just go aerial. Geiger could attest to it. Never will we ever witness anything like that in our entire lives. Me and him both said the same statement. It came up out of the water, nosed the whopper plopper, never ate it. I mean, I'm telling you, the fish, the largemouth was every bit of 9, probably. Modestly, had to been. So let's get into some questions here. Ron mentioned about that spotted bass that was caught. Huge, 6 pounds, 24 inches long.
I knew it was a big one.
Congrats, Ron, man. That was an awesome spot. So Average Joe's got a question. Maybe Ryan and Chris, y'all can maybe follow up with him and talk to him. He's a young boat builder, 2 personal builds on his belt, interested in career. So these 2 men who you need to talk to, Chris and Ryan.
Yeah, just give us a call up at the shop or come by and see us.
There you go.
We on Google. You can Google us.
Yep. So Average Joe was also asking, does TB Nation have another fan meetup planned?
We'll be at a couple of boat shows coming up, and we'll be at the TEC. So we've got the Nights of Lights events coming up that we'll be at, which I think everybody is welcome to come for that, even if you're not in the tournament. Anybody, just make sure you buy your meal ticket.
You don't have to buy the meal ticket, but I mean,
you want to eat, you ain't gonna sit there and watch me eat and not eat. So go get your meal ticket. And then we've got the NOE expo that we're going to be doing is it Clarksville?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and then that one's coming up in January, and then we've got the East Tennessee Fishing Show we're going to be at in, I can't remember, whenever it is, Google it. And then
January.
What's the other one we've got?
The Fisherama at the expo at Perry.
The Fisherama, yeah, we're going to be there, and then there's one other one that the Captain Max thing.
Jim Ellis, Buford Mall, Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't remember the dates on that one either right now.
So there you go, Evers Joe. There's a couple right there that they plan on being there. So we as well is going to be present at the Fisherama in Perry. It's going to be February 9th, 10th, 11th. I think it's that weekend, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I may be wrong on those dates exactly, but you can look it up and check it out.
We also have fan meetups at the shop like every day.
This is true.
All right, so fire away some more questions if you got it, Chris and Ryan.
I got one I was thinking of earlier. So I would like to hear each of y'all's dream tournament or electric tournament rig. Like if money was no object, what would you want in a tournament rig? What kind of boat would you want, and what would you want on it?
I'd take Jeff's boat.
Yeah, I like my setup. Just I've gotten to where speed doesn't necessarily matter to me. Yeah, I'd like it to be faster, but I like comfort. And my boat is it's an 18.6 Triton aluminum. It's got the console is still in it. It's got an Elco on the back hooked up, so I just sit in it like a normal bass boat and run. Speed would be the only thing that I wouldn't mind having either two e-propulsions on the back or something. Like I said, I'm running an Elco, the 20. It's a 9.9 HPs, which is the equivalent of the 20 EP. But speed-wise, I'm pushing 8 max. So these days, everybody's starting to leave me behind, and I can handle a little bit more speed, but other than that, I'm fine with my boat.
And if you play your cards right, you can win 2 of them here coming up, from what I hear.
Yeah, we might just do that.
And I know somebody that knows how to fabricate the steering a little bit on that for remote.
I do. The electric steering on that. That'll be coming soon.
Good deal.
Yeah, you said you're running the Elco 20?
It's the old one. I bought it back in 2015.
Okay.
2015, 2016. So it was right before they came out with the 20 EP. In fact, I was a little ticked off because I bought the 9.9 HP, and then I looked on the website and it said a 20 EP, and I thought, did they just come out with a bigger motor and I just bought this other one for the same price? So, but Scott Edwards let me know it was the same deal. I was in good shape.
Okay. Hey, you're pushing 8 on that big of a boat. You're not.
It's a heavy
doing
boat.
Bad.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I said, it's 18 and a half, and it's a full 7 foot in the back. It's like a cruise ship.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a tough question. And the only reason why I'm asking this because, I get conversations in depth with a lot of anglers, not necessarily on camera, but just off camera in a way. And the discussions, it sounds like Jeff and TJ, y'all been rooted in John boat fishing for quite a few years, and I mean, y'all probably remember it back in the day, just like what y'all kind of started off by saying. Guys would literally show up at tournaments. They'd have 3 trolling motors strapped onto the back and a 12-volt or possibly a 24-volt on the bow. And if you had a 24-volt, man, you were like the creme de la creme. You know what I mean? So do y'all feel like with the advancement of so much technology, forward-facing sonar, electric outboards, do y'all feel like it's taking a lot of the way that it used to be so much differently now, in a better way, negative way? What's y'all's take on it? Y'all miss those older days?
I wouldn't say that I miss it. You know, when you show up to a tournament and you have somebody like me that's got a big boat and it's running an Elco, and then you've got guys that have a John boat and they're running 1 or 2 trolling motors off the back. You know, I feel bad for them that the tournament scene has gotten to the point where everybody feels like they've got to go out and buy a big boat, have a expensive motor and lithium batteries and all that stuff in order to compete, and you don't. You don't have to have it to compete. You get left behind at the boat ramp, but bring your stick and bring it.
What's your take, TJ?
Most of the fish are at the boat ramp most of the time, because everybody's throwing them back right there. You know, the weekend before, we're all these clubs are fishing on top of each other. So you sit at the boat ramp at Hard Labor Creek, you stay there all day, you should catch a decent bag. I can't make myself do it, but I always get there an hour before the end and catch at least one good one. But I don't have all the new technology. I don't know how it would change me or affect me, but it's just like the horse and carriage to the cars now. We adapt and we keep moving forward.
So here's one of the originals as well. Chris Day. He's a past state champion back when it was the J bait, if y'all remember him or not. But y'all would probably agree. The reason why I was saying this, nobody has mentioned this part to me. But my thought process when I do get in those in-depth conversations with folks is, y'all remember it when everybody had the trolling motors strapped on, and you're literally those guys that had 1 or 2 trolling motors, they were just slightly slower. And when you blast off, when it was just trolling motor days, it was like they're only going to get like a couple of tenths faster, and you're all neck to neck, 10, 20 boats. Neck to neck. Now, just like what you mentioned, electric outboards, the advancement, it does separate it a little bit. But at the end of the day, just like what you said, you can sit right at the ramp a lot of times and catch and win. But it is a different feel. To me, it is at blast off. It's totally different from what it used to be.
There's a guy fishing the Tackle Warehouse tour, I think, with one of the e-propulsion motors. Though he's fishing against the guys with the 250s and the 300s. It really doesn't. You ain't got to go everywhere. You ain't got to fish a lot of spots good. You just got to fish one spot great.
I did not know that. That is awesome.
I can tell you as a – go ahead.
He's out in California somewhere. It's the FLW Tour or Tackle Warehouse, whichever one that is.
I can tell you as a spectator to last year's TEC, when I was standing in the parking lot in the morning and watching everybody pull in, I was amazed at some of the boats that I saw and how far people have come for just tournament John boat fishing. And it was wild to see some of the things that people had done to their boats and the ideas I got just standing there looking at some of the stuff. And me and Ryan look at boats every single day. We're always building something, but there was a lot of cool stuff I saw that I was not expecting to see. But I also saw just as many bare bones basic rigs, and people did just fine. So,
I mean, I ain't down on them one bit. This is more of just lifting them up. I mean, 2022's TEC state champions, they were running trolling motors, and
They sure did.
Yeah.
And they come out and they swung for the fence, and buddy, it lined up for them.
It did.
So I agree with this. Charles Curtis making this statement. It's amazing to see the new rigs compared to 10 years ago. I could not agree to that more. One thing, and tell me if I'm wrong or right with this, Jeff and TJ. It seems like that the fiberglass, the old blown up gas motor boats, that it seems like they're dwindling lesser and lesser in the clubs from year to year, and they're getting more and more of aluminum boats, and everybody trying to lighten the weights and something that lasts a little bit longer. Would y'all agree to that?
Yeah, I agree. I think part of that is because now everybody that blows their motor on their 20-foot nitro takes the motor off and puts electric motors on and tries to sell it for 10 grand.
Oh man. Okay, so we'll ask another question here in a second. Ron Pendergrass is saying this. Still believe you need to blast off an order by number drawn. At least the slower boats feel like they have a chance. Just my thought. So that has been discussed in past of just doing random numbers, drawing it out. But as far as the state championship, we're probably not to that level of that, to doing that. But like, for example, we do that at Rocky Mountain. We actually do a random draw in the morning of, and we do a single file blast off at Rocky Mountain. And that really changes the game. We started that last year. I know there was some issues in past, and we seen it as a conflict because it's idle speed only. If either of y'all been to Rocky Mountain fishing it?
I have not.
Me neither.
It's a PFA. There's no restriction. You can run bass boats, whatever, but it's idle speed only. And y'all know how it is in tournament fishing. What do? Like, one person can just a little bit more, and you just keep pushing the envelope. So that's the reason why we come up with the idea of, doing that. But that it's a neat concept to think about.
Now, do you give them time in between? Like, you let one person go and then wait 20 seconds and then the next person go?
Here's the bad part. So we all talked as a group, and literally the morning of, we write everybody's name down, who shows up there, pays in, put it in a hat. We start drawing numbers one by one. Whoever is the last number has to blast everybody off. And they're sitting there. And we just space it enough. And we tell everybody, look, don't go over idle speed. Whatever idle speed is, suggestion, we're saying suggestion, don't go over 5 miles per hour. Suggestion. But just don't go over idle.
That used to not be a question in this kind of fishing. 5 miles an hour.
No, it was. You're right. See, I mean, when I first started fishing, I mean, y'all probably both agree to this. Well, okay, good question. What speeds, when y'all first got your first boat set up, what speeds did you get?
2.5.
2.5.
I think I was running probably 4.5, 4.2, something like that.
And correct me if I'm right with this, tournament fishing. How quickly did you start researching how can I make this game tenths of miles per hour faster?
Immediately.
Exactly.
Because what happens at blast off when all those guys was right there, it's just like, man, dadgummit, how in the heck did they do that, right?
There was one guy in Jeff's club that had a 48 volt. I think it was a Ray, but it was like kind of custom made, so you couldn't see what it really was. And they ran all over the lake and did whatever they wanted. And I think everybody else was still using like 2 or 3 motors at the time. I think Reese was still using 2 motors at the time.
So, okay, here's a good comment. This goes right along what we're talking about with speeds and different stuff. Jason Brown, we just got done interviewing them the other day, basically saying Josh Griffith, if he remembers correctly, won an event through with them with only a foot control on the front. And he did show up at Lake Juliet with only a front trolling motor.
I saw his boat recently, and there was still not a motor on the back of it. All
Yep.
he had was that trolling motor. So,
and I mean, they're points champions in their club, if I remember correctly. We got their interview coming up. So, I mean, I don't know how long he's not been running a back motor, but it's not a necessity. It's not. That's a good point.
Yeah, the only necessity is a fishing pole.
Didn't Jordan Lee win a classic without a back motor, sitting on 1 point?
Yes, it did.
Had an issue.
Huh?
And I can
Now,
go back.
with y'all's boat being so big, when you switch to the bigger Elco motor, how much of moving stuff around did you have to do to try to get the weight right so you can get your max speed, or did it not make as much of a difference because your boat's so big?
Well, actually, before I had the Triton, I had I think a 16-foot sea nymph, and that's what I had the Elco on. And then when I bought the Triton, I had to take all the electronics, trolling motor, and everything, and move it, which was a challenge because at the same time I wanted to fish. So I'm sitting there having to take electronics off and rob what I could off the boat while keeping the other boat fishable until I was ready to make the complete change. But yeah, with the Elco, I mean, with the Triton, it's such a big boat that trying to maximize weight and all that was not really.
Didn't do a whole lot.
It doesn't. You know, the only thing that I did was I was running not lead acid, but the other one, the AGMs.
AGMs.
I was running AGMs for a while, and I switched over to the lithium, which did give me an extra mile per hour on both boats, actually. But yeah, I'm about as light as I can go, and as much fishing gear as I carry in the boat. I can't cut weight.
I was real curious because I know on the smaller boats, the ones that we've tested, even the 1648s, you shift some weight around, you can pick up a whole mile an hour. I was very curious to see how it went on your boat being so large.
Right. And it's the way I have it set up with, you know, the steering console and the two seats, you know, just a standard bass boat rig. I guess I have had it at times had a partner that would move up to the front and sit on the front deck just to try to get a little bit more speed, but it didn't gain but maybe like 0.3 of a mile. And at that point, just come on back and sit down and relax, you know?
Yeah. The gains are so minimal at that point.
Right. Now, if I was running one of the big Elcos, 30 or 50, and if it would have the potential to make weight changes and gain speed that way, then I'd look into it. But the Triton, it's a 2004, so the compartments are what they are. They're pretty much small compartments up front, and they're loaded down with tackle. If I tried to put batteries up front to add weight up there, I'd have to figure out a place to put all my tackle. So I'm just going to let it ride.
I hear you.
My non-expert opinion is under like 6.5, 6 miles an hour, moving the weight, you want the front end of the boat to sit down to get it up to 6. And then once you get past that, you need to get it to plane out.
Yep.
That's what I've seen. Because the most we've ever been able to get was like 5.5 with one of those. It was a 2-horse Minn Kota. I forget the name of those, E-Drive or something. But we would tow somebody in with that boat behind us a long time ago, and we'd still stop 5.5. That's the max.
And I'd agree with that. So with running an electric outboard myself, it's the same way that you've got to, there's a certain, and it's all based on hull design. Once you hit that, instead of plowing, you got to start.
You got to get them.
You got to get your lift. And it does take some playing around. So Average Joe's got a question about what are average, how big are these lakes for electric only tournaments? So it varies. There's electric only lakes around that's as small as 100 acres that range all the way up to like the size of Hard Labor, 1,400, 1,600 probably acres. I think that's about the largest of electric only. Some of the other lakes like Lake Juliet, they allow gas motors. We did fish down there all total electric though, but some of those other lakes do allow like a horsepower restriction and stuff. But it varies.
Blue Ridge?
Blue Ridge is a big boat. You can run any type of
acres.
Acreage.
It's like 3,800 or something.
I think it is like it's 3,000 something acres, which is equivalent to the same size as Lake Juliet. Very, very equivalent in size. Very equivalent.
So Blue Ridge, you can run outboards and stuff.
Yep, bass boats, big boats, anything you want.
Mm.
That's right. So
I may have to bring the old mud motor up there.
Just make sure to keep it strapped when you go down the ramp.
I know.
So we actually,
I probably won't. I don't want to get no dirty looks.
Yeah.
We had a guy lose a motor at a tournament this year at Juliet.
When you mean lose it, it went out?
No. Like he's going across the lake, scooting along, and then all of a sudden he's not, and there's no motor on the back because it's at the bottom of the lake.
Oh, God.
You have to ask the Cogburns about that. I don't know nothing about it.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Okay, so that goes right along with this. Had a couple of tournaments with a big motor that crapped out. Fished my way back, like catching fish in areas that I might normally blow past. So I've actually had not my back motor, but my front trailer motor go out. At the time, I had a center console steering wheel with my electric outboard, and we fished an entire day. And I will probably never show the full footage of GoPros that day. We lost a 5-pounder, a 6-pounder, a 3-pounder. It was the most miserable day of fishing. I'll never want to go back and see that video footage again, but that was miserable. I learned how to literally drive while standing and taking my feet to the steering wheel and taking the throttle. It was a painful day.
Hats off to you for doing it, though.
It was misery. Do you have any lakes that restrict 2-stroke motors? I don't know of any in Georgia. Do either of y'all men gas motor lakes?
I don't think any of them are restricted to 2-stroke only.
Or vice versa?
Or wouldn't let you run a 2-stroke. I don't know of any.
Yeah, if you can use gas, you can use 2-stroke, 4-stroke.
So the only thing that I have, being I work for a local jurisdiction, we have an electric-only reservoir. One of the most common questions asked there that I hear all the time come through for the city from the person that actually is over the reservoir, they're wanting to try to put in motors that run propane. And based on the water quality requirements, being a water supply reservoir, those guidelines do not allow any type of combustible product. So even from that standpoint of propane, they still do not allow those style of motors. So I know that's not necessarily that, but kind of expanding on that a little bit. Chris, Ryan, any more questions?
I got just a curiosity question. Do y'all have anything as tournament anglers that you would like to see change or added to tournament fishing in the upcoming years? Is there anything that you don't like that you wish was different, or something that you've had an idea of that you wish they would add to what y'all already do?
So while y'all are thinking, I've got something that somebody actually told me on the ride home today that I think is really, really cool. I'm going to give my brother-in-law the full 100% credit to this. He came up with it. He was saying, why don't they make the sonar, the way sonar is for fish now, forward-facing sonar and stuff like that, with the screens, the way it's Bluetooth, everything's so capable. Why not make sunglasses or glasses to where you can actually see your sonar through your glasses while you're still fishing?
That's some RoboCop stuff right
Put
there.
on the VR thing, so you're virtually reality fishing.
I mean,
somebody would wreck a boat. I could just see them out
I would
there.
see myself falling off the side of it.
Make it transitional where you can still see everything around you, but yet it's like shadowed.
That's
where
some
you
Star Wars RoboCop stuff right there. Y'all need to quit fishing.
All right,
It
go
might
ahead.
happen in 5
Have
years.
you ever had a gnat
or less.
land on your sunglasses and you can't fish because you got a gnat that's crawling around on your sunglasses? Yeah.
I thought it was a fish. All right, go ahead, both of y'all, man. What y'all got?
Yeah, I can't think of anything that I'd want to change. I had thought about maybe a club that instead of having teams, you showed up with your teammate, but when you showed up at the ramp, you had a drawing, and whoever you drew you drew out your partner. So, and it might even be a club that was just, fishing for fun, so guys could get to know each other and get to learn techniques from other guys.
That's a cool idea.
Yeah, something like that. But as far as the regular tournament scene, I can't see anything that I would want changed.
Have you ever fished a club that's like that, Jeff?
No, it's something that I've thought about over the last 2 years. I've been toying with the idea of getting out of tournaments for a little while. So that's still a way for me to be able to fish and enjoy being around guys that like to fish. But I've also got 2 boys that I'd like to get involved in fishing. So I don't know what the future holds.
So my fishing partner, JV, actually fished a club. It was on Big Lakes, but fished a club that they actually done that.
Is it bass?
Yeah, it was bass tournaments.
Yeah, no, bass, like BASS.
It wasn't bass. It was just
because Bassmasters used to do that.
Yep.
Because I think Iconelli got hooked up with KVD back in the day, like long time ago. But there's one here. It's Bass Federation, I think. Chris Blair fishes it. They have the club still, and you still qualify like that. But every time you got your anglers and you have your co-anglers, when they show up, they draw their names, and they still do the same thing that you're talking about.
I guess that's kind of like the BFL does the same thing, don't they?
Yep.
Yeah.
But the co-angler, you just got to have your 1 tackle box and your 5 fishing rods and be ready to go get in whoever's boat and do whatever they want to do. I did that one time. It's tough. It was tough for me anyway. I like to bring a lot of tackle.
But in that situation, you would be looking at jumping in the boat with somebody that's competing. And from what I've heard, a lot of times you get whatever you call it, backboated or whatever, where the person in the front is doing all the fishing, and you're pretty much just stuck fishing shaky head or whatever, trying to pick up fish, and they're not too involved in
That's exactly what happens in the BFL. So I found a brush pile on my own in the river while a guy was punching mats in the middle of the channel without a graph. I caught 2 fish and he turned the boat around, and I can't throw past the midway point. He caught 2 more out of that same brush pile before we left.
I like the style of
thank you.
Did he say thank you, TJ?
No, and then his 2 fish he just threw back. I ended up with 3 that day for like 9 or 10 pounds. I ended up making, it was a 2-day BFL. I ended up making the second day, but I finished last on the second day. I didn't catch anything with the new partner, but he didn't catch anything either, so I can't feel too bad.
I agree. It needs to be a team style format. So that way it's a team working together versus just you just the backboater and don't worry about him. Let's just I agree to that.
Now, I said there's some good ones too, though. In the Bama division with the BFL, that I had some decent anglers that they genuinely wanted you to catch fish and stuff. But the Bulldog, the Georgia division, they're not very nice. We'll just say that.
What about you, TJ? You got some insight there of things that you'd like to see down the road?
Well, I mean, I think everything's pretty good the way it is.
So we have one comment that's come through. It's actually not a bad. It's a neat concept. How about a panoptic sensor that automatically points the transducer wherever you cast?
Just in the rod, every time you come back and go forward, your thing gonna be up there going crazy.
Or maybe it's the sensor to where when it hits the water, it has like and it just goes to it. I don't know.
But don't you want your panoptics seeing before your cast?
Seeing the fish, and then you actually
Yeah, you do.
That's
but
a Jeff question.
It's hard once you make a cast to be able to pick up your lure, because I mean you can cast on my boat. I've got the transducer is hooked to what is the thing called? It's a right height. It's an electronic device that holds the transducer, and it has an arrow and it tells me where I'm pointing at. But even if you cast at what you think, when you're casting 80 yards out and that arrow is pointing in one direction, you could be off 5 or 10 feet off to the side. So you got to try to chase it to try to find your bait. So yeah, that would be neat to have something that automatically sensed your lure hitting the water or whatever and picked it up and transitioned to it.
It would be cool to make it into the actual bait itself.
Yeah, that's what it has to be, a microchip in the bait.
Yeah.
But I would make it to where, because you would want that search mode where you could find what you want to cast to, and then once you activate the cast, then that's when it. But in a way, well, I just don't want to say too much before facing
those lures that have the lights in them and they only light up when the lure's in the water.
Livingston, I think, did a lot of like sounds in their baits, and
she choked the Livingston.
Yeah.
Randy Howell.
Yep, Randy Howell at the Classic at Gunnersville.
A lot of people have met him, said that he is one of the most stand-up men.
I've heard the same.
Okay, question. What professional anglers have y'all ever met?
The only one I've ever met was Timmy Horton.
Well, I got KVD's signature at West Point the second time they came, and I spoke to Bobby Lane at West Point in Ranger under the Ranger Bridge. That's as far as I've come.
So have either of y'all met G-Man Lulu?
I have not.
No, he's one of my favorites though.
They came to Carter's Lake up here. What was that year that they done the wild card where they fished at Chateau and then they come right back and fished at Carter's. I went up there and I hate to even admit this. So I walked up to Lulu. Have y'all ever been to one of their events and seen it? Like,
no. I went to the two that were at West Point. What was that? Early 2000s. It was two. It was back-to-back year, or almost back-to-back years. There was one, and then there was a year in between. One time it rained the whole time. There was a tornado that came through right before it.
So I don't know if y'all have ever seen this, but it may not have been so prominent then. It amazes me, and I hate to sound sexist on this, but it amazes me to see the wives of these anglers at how they back down the ramp, sling them, go park. And the wives, they go have fun for the day. They come back. It blows your mind away how they can just back it in and go. And I walked up when I got there that evening. I knew what time I was weighing in, so I walked up, got Lulu's signature, and she's like, "Lord, nobody wants to ask for my signature first." I said, "Well, I'm gonna get you better half signature later." But there was a guy at work. He always talked about G-Man Lulu, so I got the signature for him and gave it to him. But anyways, that's cool concept. So Pete Cook saying he'd like to see a 32-inch TV monitor in front of his deck. Yeah,
that's how they're getting the feel these days. Trust me, when we got to install them, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Apex.
Okay. So I don't know who this was. Justin Dawson was saying someone did a Jumbo Eliminator series once. It was a format like that. I think they may be referring to Jesse had run up here in the northern region an Eliminator series type deal. I think it only lasted one season. A lot of the guys had a lot of fun with doing it.
What is an Eliminator? Like you go through the season and then slowly start pulling people out as you go?
Yeah, it's like a bracket style. You just keep advancing up.
I think Terry Lee did that a couple years ago down here too, and it only lasted 1 year.
3 and 5 was
that championship. Yeah, it was 3 and 5. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So did y'all ever fish the J-bait back when it was rolling? Just curious.
I wasn't around at that time.
I wasn't fishing then.
Gotcha. Sorry, I fired a bunch there and went down a rabbit hole to a lot of different directions. Chris, Ryan, any more?
We're good.
Ryan, you got anything? You've been quiet.
Nope, I'm good. Just congratulations, guys, and good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So anything going into this event, do y'all sweating bullets with it? I know
I was just about to ask, how do y'all feel?
You've been to a TEC event, Jeff. How many have you been? A couple of
He
times.
was there the last year.
First one. Juliet was the first one, so hopefully I won't be as nervous this time. But yeah, I'm not nervous about the fishing aspect of it. I guess my nerves will be when it's in the parking lot that morning, trying to get the boat down the ramp and not stressing out.
So if this helps to maybe calm the nerves a little bit, I did want to mention, I don't know if I mentioned on any of the other lives, we will be doing a angler orientation type meeting. We'll be sending out through all the TC anglers, letting them know. We'll have kind of orientation with it. So when we arrive the morning of the tournament, it's not going to be a show up in the parking lot and let's hang out and talk for about 30, 45 minutes. It's going to be you pull up into the road there going into the marina. You're going to get checked as you enter into the road, and you are going to be told to literally start putting in the water right then and there. And they have a boat slip that's going to be there, no boats in it, and we're going to be accessing fully to those slips. You pull out to the slips, and we chill on the water, all of us out there underneath the docks. So if that may help relieve a little bit of the tension, you'll be in the water for quite a while and just
we're going to be last.
We're
going to be last.
What was that, Jeff?
I said
we don't want to be sitting in the water if it's 28 degrees for an hour. We'll be last. It's fine.
You done know it's going to be 28 degrees?
No, I don't know. I'm hoping not, but probably.
What was you saying, Jeff? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just asking if the boat ramp was well lit.
I know the parking lot has I've not been there during the dark. I'll make sure to look again and see.
I would say no because it's so far down from the, you know how you got your parking lot's way up here and it's probably 40 or 50 foot to the bottom of that ramp.
Gotcha.
Well, hang on, man. I got some pictures. Let me go back and look.
It was daylight when we got there. That's a long ways.
So it's my green screen's going to mess up a lot of this in the back. Oh, you ain't going to be able to see it. Never mind. So we went pre-fishing not too long ago. I'll just leave it at that. And we came in right at before dark, and it's got street lights in the parking lot.
There's
no street. There's a street light behind Melissa at the top of the hill up there. It's on the other side.
Say, look at it. He got it. Oh, so you was the one that sent that picture. Okay. Okay, correct me if I'm right. You drive a what vehicle?
I was there in a black F-150 that day.
Two-wheel drive, four-wheel drive?
Four-wheel drive.
Four-wheel drive. Okay, so that has been one concerns from some of our guys is backing down that ramp with two-wheel drive vehicles.
I don't think it's going to matter. If it's ice, you ain't going to stop no matter what.
Agreed. But even if it's not icy, like that was one of the concerns that we had from anglers. No ice condition. I understand ice condition. We've got methods in place that we're going to try to, if it's cold, it don't matter if it's raining or not, it could ice up. We have methods in place that we will try to prevent as much as possible. There's going to be somebody right there at the water's edge. You've got to physically drip dry. You are not going to be literally like blasting in and then just pulling out real fast. You've got to go super, super slow. We're very accustomed to it up here in the North region a lot for icing up the ramps. So
I just tell everybody not to unhook their boat until it's down at the water's edge also.
Yeah, that's going to be mentioned as you get pulled into the actual road going into it as well. We'll go over all that with all of our anglers.
Because I forget to unhook mine all the time.
Traps.
Merrick, is there power anywhere close to the boat ramp?
I will find out.
Because we got some lights we could bring out there just in case it is real dark down at the bottom. And I got a bajillion extension cords.
I'm pretty certain there probably is not power hookups there.
Okay.
There's a crane. There's a crane about 100 yards from there.
Well, yeah, they did.
I don't know what kind of power it has.
They did put that lift in there, probably for building the those docks and stuff. or maybe they've had that for other purposes. So they may be some electrical possibly there. I'll double check. I'll be going in the near future up there, so I'll double check that and get with you. But anybody got any questions? We'll kind of wrap up, concluding the show. Make sure fire away questions if you got them. Ryan, Chris, do you have any more questions for these men?
Yeah, y'all talking about being nervous in your past experience in tournaments. How long does it take you to get those nervous jitters out before you start feeling like you're comfortable out there on the water? Or does it just hang out all day until that weigh-in?
It depends on if you're and it's more like a racehorse nervousness kind of deal. If you feel like you're on fish, you want to get out there and get on them, and you're nervous, ready to go. Or you could be, depending on if you're sweating points or whatever, nervous as to how good you're going to do that day. And so, but as far as nerves, once we blast off and I get the rod in hand, the nerves kind of go away. Once I'm doing what I love to do, there's no feeling like it.
Uh-oh, somebody's ratting out TJ.
Yeah, I don't really get nervous as far before I go fish. The only time I get nervous is if I start catch or we start catching them and we get a decent bag, and then the wheels start spinning. Like I feel like if I'm catching them, then everybody else should be catching them. Or you go by that man over there, Jeff, and he's reeling fish in left and right. Matter of fact, that the last tournament of the season, he beat us by 1 ounce or 0.1 ounce or whatever it was. In the tournament before that, we started in almost the same spot, 50 yards from each other, and I think he caught 2 or 3 and lost one big one before he even had a bite. We just had to leave. I said, "You got to get us away from him. I can't watch this."
But that final one where I beat you by 1 ounce, y'all pulled in right behind me as we were headed to the ramp. You're just trying to do your best to catch a fish before the end of the day, and they pulled out what I thought was going to be like a 5-pounder or whatever.
That fish jumped in the boat.
So TJ, if we see you, I'm competing in the event in February next month. So if we see y'all come by us and TJ, you're pacing the deck, and we can physically see sweat dripping from your palms, worried to death, we know you've got a good bag, is what you're saying.
No, I just don't really get – my nerves don't really get into it. And it's going to be like when we're standing in the line to weigh our fish or something. It'll be way, way after the fact. I don't even think about all that when I'm on the water.
Or if you come by us, I just need to tell you we've caught about 19.5 pounds. And then you're just going to be like, dang.
And then it's going to be like, well, that ain't enough, bro.
Well, I'll go ahead and tell you this. I'll call it out right now. If JV speaks up and tells you wait, don't listen to JV's weight. Everybody in our club knows it. If JV, they say, how'd you do today? JV said, about 20 pounds, 22 pounds. Yeah. He'll yank your chain in a heartbeat. All right,
There's a lot of them like that.
John White would give a comment
Go
here to y'all.
Go Dogs. That's the
Half
champ right there.
Yep, half reigning state champion, John Whited. And y'all are supporting those Go Dogs, ain't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I saw David
I pulled all my hair out.
Red shirt, but he wouldn't own up to the Dogs. So
I love
had to represent.
I love this comment he's gave next. TJ would whoop up so bad, he'll be laying down taking a nap at lunch.
My back was hurting, man. We were moving across the lake. If we're moving across the lake, I lay down sometimes. Let it go.
JV does the same thing. His back's messed up bad, and he has to do the same thing, lay down. Love it.
It's not because I'm comfortable with our weight. I always want to catch more.
Yeah. I want to ask one last question to kind of conclude. And Chris, Ryan, if you got more, you can ask. But my last question that I have for y'all, man, is if you had one lake to pick for a state championship, take aside this one, Blue Ridge, where would you go? What, like maybe target? which species? Like what would be, do you have a favorite lake of just that's a state championship tournament? Doesn't even have to be in Georgia.
That's tough. There's one down in South Georgia I've never been to that I've heard was good, but Guntersville is probably my favorite place to go. I just like the diversity and the
Guntersville. But yeah, if it was on a big lake and it could be anywhere, I would want to go to Guntersville.
So TJ, you mentioned that lake in South Georgia. We have entertained that for quite a few years. I will go ahead and leak it and say it.
Tired Creek, I think.
Yes, we have entertained it for quite a few years. The logistics of getting 40 anglers, 40 teams to travel that far and for lodging arrangements is very difficult. So that's been our challenges with it. I'm not saying it won't happen because I can go ahead and tell you I have told every one of our directors, and if y'all want to talk off camera, I can show you pictures of 30-pound bags.
I've seen them too.
Summers. 5 fish, 30-pound bags consecutively.
What's the ride down there? What, 3.5? 4?
4 plus. Well, 4 plus from up here in our region, probably 3.5 for y'all.
It's about 3.5 for Jeff to get to Blue Ridge, and the last 45 miles to Blue Ridge is hell.
That road's rough.
That road is so rough.
So my rear shocks in my truck is factory from 04, and I'm going down a rabbit hole and shouldn't. So we fished Burton for the first time this year in our club. It was so bad traveling that interstate up. I had to guys. We rode together, followed each other up to the hotel we were staying at that night. I had to pull over. It was so bad. My rear tires on my truck was coming off the ground. It was bouncing so bad. The guy, thank goodness, that was there following along with me, he's a truck driver, and he's like, I got you. He had a ratchet strap, giant ratchet strap. So the problem with my tongue, it's so long, it bounces even worse. So we literally ratchet strapped the actual frame of the trailer over the top of the boat down to it, and it helped. I could run 60-plus mile an hour, no problem. I couldn't go over 40 mile per hour beforehand. So thank you for bringing it up. I do need to mention that to people. Make sure you got good shocks when you come up there. So
or stay somewhere close.
Chris Day saying this about the lake, I'm assuming, and I could not agree with him better. That lake right there is probably I've never fished it, but I would love to go to it. I would.
You say you've never fished it?
Never. So one year.
Jeff does guided trips.
Oh, you do, Jeff?
I'll take you out there, no problem. I bought the pass this year. Last year was the first year that I haven't fished it when they jacked the price up to $300 for the pass. But after missing it a year, that's my first love there. So
$300 for an annual pass?
$300 for an annual pass, yep.
That gets you 3 lakes.
True.
But, is that just for out of county residents?
Right, yeah. If you live in the county, you're good to go.
You have literally sparked something that I'm going to be doing tomorrow of thought. I am going to probably do a request and find out how many people actually paid that fee, because anything in government is subject to public records, and that's why I'm wanting to find that out. I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah, because the year before last, it was up to $50 a pass, and that was fine. I fished it enough that $50 was nothing because you were paying $5 to $10 a trip before they offered the pass. So I was saving money by buying a $50 pass, but $300, that's if you figure $10, then that's 30 trips out there. I can possibly do that. So.
Hard labor's $10 every time you show up, or $100 for a pass, I think. So.
Yep. Wow. Awesome. Chris, Ryan, anything else to conclude?
Good luck.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Jeff.
Pleasure talking to you, gentlemen.
Jeff Souza, TJ Spiva. Nope. Spiva. Appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in tonight. Congratulations to both you men, Lauren Roberts.
There you go.
Rooting for y'all for second place, of course. That's awesome. So congrats again, as well to Johnithan Combee, being partners through with you for being points champion. Not trying to take spotlight away from him. I know y'all two men are going to be out there wanting to give y'all the recognition of competing together. So congrats to everyone in Backwoods as well, that y'all have a feat that y'all got to come back to and see if y'all can hold all these other 9 clubs away from, right?
True.
It's going to be tough, that's for sure.
So best of luck to you men. Safe travels. Thank y'all for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For having us. See you on the water.
Thank you, Chris and Ryan, Tiny Boat Nation Southeast. Get down there and check them out.
See you guys.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that concludes our Hooked Up Live. Again, we want to give a big shout out and thanks to each and every one of our Hooked Up Live sponsors: Line Taming Serum, Just Catch Bass, Star Lures, Dugout Bait and Tackle, Tiny Boat Nation Outdoors, G2 Gemini Jerseys, and PFD Fishing. Get over and check out their social media pages, purchase their products, not putting one above another. Each and every one of their applications that they have of product lines that they've got is super awesome, and we appreciate each and every one of them sponsoring our Hooked Up Live. So again, to mention, we are just about 2 weeks away from our Nights of Lights. It is a banquet supper, not just for the anglers, but also for anyone that would like to attend. It is no cost, free of charge. Get over to GABasstec.com and check out all the information with the Nights of Lights. We're doing raffles, 50-50 raffle, bunches of different sponsors for door prizes. You don't have to be present to win. Reach out to one of the club presidents, or if you're interested in buying some raffle tickets, reach out to us through Georgia Bass Tech. But the Nights of Lights, 100% of our proceeds is going to the Shriners Hospital. All of our money we raise that night is going directly to them. So if you would even like to make a donation to this benefit that is going 100% to the Shriners Hospital, we would greatly, not only us, but the Shriners would also greatly appreciate each and every one of y'all. So it's going to be a fun night of anglers, just hanging around, chit-chatting, vendors that are going to be there, door prizes given away, and it's going to be a boat that's going to be there. Tiny Boat Nation Southeast is actually bringing the Pontini there that they built, all-electric boat setup. It is a super awesome boat, and lay hands on it, take a look at it. We'd love for each and every one of y'all to be there. And also, one of the cool factors to the show, we have the band called the Waleska is actually going to be there performing live at the Nights of Lights. We greatly appreciate these young men coming. It's a old school rock and roll band. Young Caleb there centered in the middle. He is one of the anglers in one of the clubs, and it is an awesome band. Get over and check out their social media page, Waleska, the band. They would greatly appreciate your following. I think they've even cut some recent labels as well for some music they've got out there for sale. So get over and check them out. We're going to end this live with our promotional video for the Nights of Lights. Again, 2 weeks away. If you have not already purchased your meal tickets, I'm telling y'all, I'm urging you, begging you, please get online to GABasstec.com and go through the prompt for Nights of Lights. Click it. It has the address, location, as well as how to pay for those meal tickets. Get over there, check it out, purchase the meal tickets. 100% proceed of those meal tickets is going directly to the Shriners. Any money that we take and raise is going directly to them. So we greatly appreciate each and every one of y'all tuning in to our Hooked Up Live. We'll be going live again next week. Same times, Tuesday, Thursday nights. We greatly appreciate our fans watching. If you don't mind, share us, like us, spread the word around. We greatly appreciate each and every one of y'all. We keep doing this for one reason, to have fun and enjoy what we do and share it around for everybody else to enjoy it as well. So God bless. We will hope you all have a safe weekend. We'll see y'all back next week. Hooked Up Live.
There's no telling what electric John boat fishing could turn into.
Taking this TEC to a much higher level.
This is the best anglers in the state.
The TEC's the cream of the crop.
Meet a lot of folks with similar interests, in different parts of the state.
It's a community experience. We enjoyed every second of it.
It's a super big deal for us, something we won't forget for
a
very long time.
Something we absolutely will never forget.
Yeah, I'm still over the moon. It's amazing.
Let's get up there. Come on. Unbelievable.
Community to John boat fishing that it's become, especially here in Georgia, it's an amazing thing to see. We enjoyed every second of it.